standing on a windswept field in 1927, watching soldiers aim skyward, not by hand, but through machines speaking across cables. A giant gun points at the clouds, its target soaring high above. This was no ordinary moment. It was the dawn of remote-controlled warfare, captured forever on film. If you find history more alive when told through the voices of innovation and courage, then stay with me. Together, we'll journey back nearly a century to see how one remarkable demonstration reshaped military science. Please like this video, subscribe for more, and let's uncover the forgotten story of 1927. Imagine a quiet test range in the United States. Late September 1927. Soldiers, engineers, and officers gathered to witness something remarkable. It was not a battle, but a demonstration. A carefully orchestrated event meant to test the future of anti-aircraft warfare. The participants knew they were about to witness history in action. The world had not yet forgotten the horrors of the First World War. Armies still remembered the devastation wrought by trenches, gas, and artillery. One of the war's lasting lessons was clear. Aircraft had become deadly tools, and the skies were no longer safe. For the U.S. Army, this meant preparing for threats that could come from above, and on this day, one of the most innovative systems ever developed would be tested. The centerpiece was the 3-inch M1917 anti-aircraft gun, paired with a T-1 Wilson director and connected through the Sperry data transmission system. This combination was designed to solve one of the most pressing challenges in anti-aircraft defense, hitting a target high in the sky with precision. The M1917 gun itself was born from necessity. Early aircraft were lightly built and slow, but by 1917, planes were climbing higher and moving faster. Standard rifles and machine guns were insufficient. The Army needed a weapon that could reach the skies. The 3-inch gun was heavy, metallic, and imposing. Mounted on an adjustable platform, it could elevate near vertical. Its crew loaded shells with precision and care, knowing that every second mattered. By 1927, the gun had seen refinements. Crews had gained experience and ammunition had improved. Yet the challenge of aiming remained. Hitting a target moving thousands of feet above required more than skill, it required calculation. Aiming at the sky was a monumental challenge. Airplanes did not fly predictably. They maneuvered, dove, and changed speeds. A shell fired at a plane's current position would almost always miss. Gunners had to anticipate where the plane would be in the future and adjust their aim accordingly. In the early days, men relied on instinct, charts, and slide rules. Accuracy was inconsistent and mistakes were costly. The solution came in the form of the T-1 Wilson director, a mechanical device that would act as the brain of the anti-aircraft battery. The T-1 Wilson director was a mechanical marvel. Operators would track a target through optical sights, turning cranks as the aircraft moved. Inside, the device calculated the plane's speed, angle, and projected future position. A mechanical predictor, an analog computer decades before digital computing. Its true brilliance lay in its ability to transmit these calculations directly to the guns via the Sperry data transmission system. Instead of shouting or sending written orders, the director communicated precise instructions electrically. At the gun, dials and indicators responded instantly, guiding the crew to align their weapon perfectly. The Sperry system, developed by the gyroscope pioneers of the time, functioned like a nervous system. Signals from the Wilson director flowed across cables to the gun, reducing human error and increasing accuracy. For the first time, the guns could respond to the director almost as if they were extensions of its mechanical mind. On the day of the demonstration, a small aircraft towed a fabric sleeve at 9,000 feet. This was the moving target. Officers and engineers watched with anticipation. The director's crew followed the target, calculating speed and trajectory, feeding the data to the guns through the Sperry system. The first shell was loaded. A tense moment passed. The gun fired. A thunderous roar echoed across the range as the shell arced skyward. Seconds later, a puff of smoke appeared near the sleeve. Close, but not a hit. It was enough to prove that the system worked. The battery fell into rhythm. Load, aim, fire. With each cycle, the system improved. Bursts of smoke appeared nearer and nearer to the target, demonstrating the precision of remote calculation. Observers watched in awe as technology and human ingenuity worked in harmony. The significance of the demonstration cannot be overstated. It proved that anti-aircraft guns could be controlled remotely, that predictive calculations could guide heavy artillery with precision, and that human limitations could be overcome by integrating mechanical brains with electrical systems. Officers nodded in approval, engineers shook hands, and soldiers marveled at the efficiency. Even civilians invited to witness the demonstration felt a mix of excitement and apprehension, thrilled by innovation, yet aware that such technology foreshadowed future conflicts. This demonstration was part of a broader wave of military innovation. Across the world, nations were experimenting with anti-aircraft defenses. What set the U.S. effort apart was the use of electrical data transmission to link prediction with execution, a concept that would become essential in future warfare. The legacy of the 1927 demonstration is profound. The systems tested that day laid the foundation for more advanced directors and predictors that would dominate World War II. Technology evolved rapidly, yet the principles proved sound. Centralized fire control, precise calculation, and integration between observer and gun were born in that quiet September field. Looking back, the scene is both technical and deeply human. Men cranking mechanical sights, trusting calculations transmitted electrically, standing under the sun as they watched shells trace invisible arcs into the sky. An aircraft towed a fragile fabric sleeve, yet it carried the weight of proof that innovation worked. The most important lesson may be this: innovation often begins quietly. On fields far from battle, dedicated people solve practical problems. The soldiers of 1927 were not seeking glory. They were testing whether human ingenuity could reach higher, faster, and more accurately. On that day, they proved it could. The shells that struck near the target, the calculated movements of the director, the hum of the Sperry system, all of it represents the first flickers of modern networked warfare. And as we reflect almost a century later, we realize how courage, curiosity, and careful testing shaped the future. Even today, watching grainy film of that day is emotionally stirring. The mechanical precision, the human dedication, the quiet triumph of a demonstration that would influence decades of military strategy and Almayer, captured in moments that seem small, but were monumental. The men, the machines, the aircraft, and the toed sleeve remind us that history is often made not in battle, but in the careful pursuit of possibility. And as the sun set over that field in September 1927, one could feel that something important had changed. The future of anti-aircraft warfare had been glimpsed, and human innovation had proven itself once again.